I'm Kara Ray, founder of the Powerful and Uncensored Entrepreneurs. I'm a mother, stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for the powerful and ambitious online female entrepreneurs who desire to create wealth and abundance in all areas of their life. The Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who are here to support you. They have unwavering points of views and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, sexuality, energy, strong points of views, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics, conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. Today, I'm extremely excited because I have Sara Smith on the podcast, and Sara is a mindset and manifestation mentor. And Sara focuses on helping women overcome and become more than their current realities. So if you haven't tuned into her podcast, Sara also has a podcast, and it is called Not Your Mama's Mindset. So go tune in, go take a listen. And so welcome, Sara. Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while now.
I've been excited. You know, there's just certain interviews where you just get really, really excited for, and you know that it's going to be an incredible conversation. So, and especially with what we planned on talking about today, I know that it'll be really good and a lot of people will resonate with this message. And so before we get started, I love asking this one question to everybody that comes on is, what are you currently celebrating in your life right now?
I am currently celebrating our move to Florida this upcoming summer when my little girl that's in kindergarten gets out of school. And we have been looking forward to this for like 5 or 6 years now. And every time we get a job opportunity or we have enough money saved up or whatever, we cop out or chicken out or whatever else gets in our way. And so we have finally decided, like, hands down, we're doing this.
That's so exciting. And I'm so excited for you guys. And doesn't it feel so good when you finally just make a decision? You're like, no, this is what we're doing. It's done.
This decision, yes. I love making decisions like that. And that's what like propels you forward, whether it's in your business life, whatever, once you finally make a decision.
Yeah. And I decided even this year that when I was making my decisions, if I didn't feel in my gut that it was like a hell yes, or then I wasn't going to do it. It was either it's going to be a hell yes or a hell no.
Yes. Like that in between, especially like I figured out, like I'm going to talk on how to choose a coach. Like if you're feeling drawn to someone or there's several people you like or whatever, I'm going to talk about how to choose a coach. And that is something, is listening to like those intuitive nudges. Even if there's like the slightest little like, then you should totally follow that and not hire them.
I agree completely. And I love that we're going to flow into this because I had an interview with someone where we only touched on the surface of this topic. And I could have dove so deep into this about why it is so important to have a connection and to really feel connected with your coach. So I love that we're going to talk about this because I find it extremely important. And so many people I've talked to where they feel like they've had a bad experience or they never connected and they made a really quick decision without really understanding what they were like getting into or knowing. And I also believe in, taking messy action, but I also believe in knowing and being consciously aware of the decisions you're making.
Yeah, messy action, but it still needs to be, like you said, either a hell yes or a hell no.
Yep. And even when because I fully wasn't even, when I first hired my coach, who I've been working with for almost a year now, I didn't really know a lot about what I was going to work on with her. But what I did know is that I loved her energy. I loved the results that her clients were getting. I loved the testimonials. And I loved that people were reaching out and saying, yes, like you should work with her. She's incredible. And it was a very diverse, group of women who were working with her. So it wasn't just like a one size fits all. It was very open. And so I connected with her and I've worked with her for almost a year now. So, and that's been like re-signing with her 3 times. Like those are just, yeah. So it's just when it clicks and when you know, you know. So I guess we could just keep talking about that for now, and then we can move into other things because we're talking about it already.
Well, I just want to say, like, I have had several coaching experiences and I learned something every single time. There's always a takeaway, even if it's a bad experience. And I think that's really important for any person that's like a potential client thinking of hiring a coach is you're going into this for yourself and you're going to learn something either way, and just being open to that because like my very first coaching experience, like I didn't know what coaching was. I didn't know anything. So my very first experience that opened me up to the world of coaching, I literally stopped getting results. Like I had a personal training and fitness brand and I was making maybe about 1,000 a month, which was really awesome for me at the time. And then I started working with her and I started getting zero results. And I kind of figured out like she was asking a lot of great questions, but she wasn't very good at giving like business strategy advice. So
Mhm.
when I would take her advice, it would kind of funnel me down the drain a little bit. And I needed to step back and still realize that I am this independent person that can still make my own decisions and I
Yes.
don't need a coach. I
Yep.
want a coach to mirror
Yes.
back to me and show me what I'm capable of and help me grow in that way instead of just saying, here's what you need to do and me following it and
Mm-hmm.
then either getting results or not. I'm still the one that gets to make the decisions. They are just the mentor and the mirror.
100%. And I love that you talked about how it's not that we need a coach, it's that we want a coach, because a coach isn't here to give you the blueprint of how you rock your business or you increase your relationship. They can help guide you and like really bring those answers to the surface that you have suppressed for so long. But that takes like it takes you being open-minded. It takes you feeling a connection with that person to actually open up to the possibility of change. And it takes tough love. Like my coach, even yesterday, when we had our conversation, she speaks with so much love, but she also tells me when I need to hear things that I wouldn't necessarily be able and be open to hear from other people when I can hear it from her and not feel judgment. And so it's a very like safe place, and she can tell me when maybe I am doing something I shouldn't be doing.
And
I don't always want to hear it.
that's part of being a coach too, is handing out that really I mean, it's maybe uncomfortable for you to hear, but it's uncomfortable for her to say too. Like
Oh,
it's
100%.
yeah, it's that vulnerability to be uncomfortable on both sides. Like if both people are that open to being vulnerable, crazy, amazing breakthroughs and transformation can happen for the coach and the client.
100%. And I like that you touched on that, because I was just going to say, even through that conversation and having that conversation, there was breakthroughs, there was transformation, there was like aha moments where at first I wasn't understanding. We were sitting there and I was talking to her and I just said, I don't fully understand what you're trying to tell me. I said, I'm trying so hard to wrap my head around this. And I know that you're trying, but I'm not getting it. And I felt ridiculous. And she's like, no, no, there's going to be a way that I'll be able to explain it. And all of a sudden everything's just going to be like, boom, I get it. And
And
she
Catherine,
explained something. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I get it now. But
yeah,
it took like 30 minutes of us talking about it for me
yeah.
to get that out.
Something I thought about when you said like me mentioning I want a coach, I don't need a coach. I think we make bad decisions in a pressury environment. So if
Mhm.
we get on a sales call, say like I'm a potential client for you and we get on a sales call and you're like, you need my services. Like you need me, girlfriend. This is what you need. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like I'm ready to go. Then that's that bad decision because you're
Yes.
pressuring and rushing. And I know you don't do that. I was just using it.
No, I don't,
But
guys.
yeah, I in several of my coaching experiences with different people, that is why it hasn't worked out in the end, because it was a rash decision on both sides, and that doesn't work out for anybody.
No, and I've worked with one coach, but I've also worked with other coaches in regards to masterminds and different programs that I've invested in.
Mhm.
And I was talking with my coach about it yesterday about how there are certain things that I absolutely adored and I loved, but there was also a lot of things that I didn't necessarily like, and I didn't click with a few things and the way that things were ran, and so, but I never regretted once making that decision to take those courses
Yes.
because I had a pull to do it. And whether I was supposed to learn that that is not the way that I want to teach my clients, or that is the way I want to really like pull and add things in to help with my clients, it was there for a reason. And so one thing that I learned in regards to, because I love masterminds, but I love them being run in a specific way. Like I'm very, I don't even know the word I'm trying to figure out when it comes to like creating my masterminds, but I'm very specific. Like it's it's like this way, this is how I like it. And the people that are run like come into these masterminds love it that way. But I learned to create it that way through trial and error, through going into masterminds, through taking other programs and talking to other women and connecting with other women and knowing what they liked and don't, and like what they like and don't. So I think it's I think it's important to get your feet wet and to be open-minded to coaches, and you may really feel connected with that coach at the beginning, and then the relationship fades, and that's okay. That just means that you're in for a transition. Like it doesn't have to mean like, oh, something's wrong with me or something's wrong with her. No, it just might be that relationship is not the one that you need now anymore. It might
Yeah,
be that chapter's closed.
yeah, that really hits home with me because um, my relationship with my very first client in my coaching business just ended recently, and it got cut short. And we we both are very highly emotional, highly triggered type of people. We both are. And so, you know, it got to the point where she had an issue with commitment, and we had been trying to work through that in her life and business through coaching the whole time we had been working together. And, you know, she would show up or cancel stuff, or, show up late or pay late or whatever. And finally, I took a stand and created like a boundary. And I said, this is my boundary. I need 24 hours in advance for you saying I need a coaching call with you. I need 24 hours in advance. And still, like, after I had said that, still continued to say, oh, well, can you do it this one time? And I'm like, no, I have to create this boundary. I have to stick to it for myself. And then she she was going to pay me late on a payment. And I said, well, there's going to be a late fee.
Yeah.
And we got hot headed and in an argument. And, it basically ended with, we have done a lot of transformational work, but we are both to the point where we're grown out of each other now.
Yep.
And we've worked together for a long time now, and it's time to part ways and both grow onto bigger things for both of us.
Yeah.
So,
And I
yeah.
think as coaches, as women, as mothers, I think it's important to create healthy boundaries and values within your business, your personal life, your family life. It is something that I believe wholeheartedly in. I believe like women that have solid boundaries in their life, I have a high respect for, because I know that if I commit to this time, that they value that means something to them. And so because there's a boundary and there's values and there's understanding there, and so I do that within my business as well. And even when I was first working with my coach, and there was times where when I first started working with her, and our finances weren't the best, and I didn't understand the how, really didn't make sense on how I was going to make it work every month, but I did. And I remember voicing this to her, but it was not in a I'm not going to pay you. It was like, this is my concern. I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to make sure that you're paid on time. But I want to work through this with you. I want to work through these money fears with you, and I want to step through this because I don't want this to be the stories that I keep telling myself. And so through that transformation is a huge thing that I've learned, that I teach my clients and in my programs, about money fears and really flipping the script, because ultimately you get a choice, and the how never makes sense. It really doesn't. Like when you look down on paper, it it never made sense. I even this year when I was going through and I was looking at the things that I was investing in, and I looked at my husband and I said, how did we make some of this work? I'm so glad we did, but like, what? He's like, I
Yeah,
don't know, but we
yeah, well, I think so strongly. I agree so strongly with you there. In our business, we're like, if we have a big goal or aspiration and we're going for it, it's our job to figure out the what and the why,
did.
not the how. The how is the universe, God, whatever you believe in, power. The what and the why is your job. And if you can get super clear on those and
Yeah.
stay positive vibration of sending those things out, they will make their way to you. That's just universal law and how it works.
It is 100%. I love talking about universal laws too, because really when you put out a vibration, everybody wonders why they aren't reaching a certain point. At every time, every moment of your life, you are giving out a vibration. And whatever that vibration is what you are bringing into your life. So if you're wondering, well, why am I not reaching this milestone in my life? Really check with yourself and look at yourself and say, okay, how am I acting? What level of a woman do I need to become to reach this next level? What do I need to do? What steps do I need to take? And evaluate. As an entrepreneur, I think it's constant that we have to really evaluate things over and over and over again, and things change because it's an ever evolving career. I don't think at one point that things ever just randomly stay the same. That's why I love being an entrepreneur, is because life kind of keeps you on your toes sometimes. You get to be so creative in what you want to do with your life. And so there's this constant need to really reevaluate on what you ultimately want, and that might change. So your vibration needs to change towards what that is.
Yeah, I actually wrote an article that got published in Thrive Global all about um, going up and being successful from a poor position. Like if you're poor or you literally have nothing and you're starting at the bottom, it's like basically takes you through how to become successful from that standpoint. And I cover mindset and woo stuff like vibration and all of that. So that goes right along with what you're talking about.
I was also going to say, because now I want to read this article, that you should send me this article so I can actually put it in the show notes, so that if people who are listening and are interested into it, they can go and they can click on it. So make sure you don't forget that. I wrote it down so I don't.
Right. And then also I wanted to say, like you were talking about, like as an entrepreneur, we get to change and evolve, and that's the cool thing. And it's so funny because like for your listeners, they didn't get to hear like us babbling beforehand, but I have labeled myself as this life and business coach for almost the entirety of this coaching business that I've been running for a year now. And just yesterday, you guys, it's been a year. Just yesterday, I finally, like it's all been in front of my face the whole time, but I finally saw like I am a mindset and manifestation mentor. That's what I talk about. That's what I teach. That's what I do. And this whole time I've been calling myself a life and business coach. And it's been so general. And I have been nailing myself like, Sarah, you need to figure out like what is your audience? Who are you speaking to? What do you do? And it's all been right there the whole time. I get articles published about mindset and manifestation. My podcast is called Not Your Mama's Mindset. And it's all I talk about. It's been right there the whole time. But like you said, like it gets delivered at the right moment when you're ready to receive it.
It
So
does.
obviously yesterday I was finally ready to step into that and receive it.
Well, and I want to touch on transition as well, because in January, I had gone through a transition. Sorry, not January, December. I went through a branding change because I felt a pull. I'm a mom, and when I started my coaching business, I really felt this pull to just be able to help moms, to create a community for moms, to embrace them, to come together. Because I had noticed, like when I was looking through Facebook, there was so many hate groups for moms and things that they could or couldn't do. Like I came across this hate page for women who didn't know, who couldn't breastfeed. I was like, what? What is this? Like how people created those things. It really gave me a pull to want to create this safe place where women can come in and talk about, if they like to breastfeed or not, if they did or if they didn't, they were supported. Like if it was formula, they were supported. Like no matter what that was, I wanted them to be supported and loved. But as my journey kept evolving, I was connecting with a lot of women who weren't moms, women who were struggling with their own problems. And then I felt this pull to really expand to coach women. And I remember talking to my coach and being like, I don't know what this looks like, because I created a community that was originally based with moms. And really, women empowering women was the major goal that I wanted. And so when we were figuring out and planning it, she said, why are you overcomplicating it? She said, the women who are going to be a part of this and the moms who want to stay a part of it, know you're a mom. So know that you're still going to talk about, being a mom. But at the end of the day, you're women empowering women. So they're if they want to stay and be around women who support one another, they'll stay. And so I was like, okay, I got to trust this. And I transitioned, I changed the colors, I changed the wording, I changed everything I was doing. And it felt so right. And it felt so good. And now I've been able to connect with a ton of women, which I've connected with a lot of moms who feel the same and wanting to transition. Like they had placed themselves in this box. And believe me, I'm grateful beyond words to be a mom and to be able to be with my kids. But I didn't want my entire life to just simply be based around talking about my children, my family, the things that were going wrong, how to parent. And I wanted to be able to have different conversations and create magic with other women. It was a huge pull. And especially because I had focused so much on talking about postpartum depression when I struggled with that, I wanted to be able to get over that. And for me to be able to really move past it, I'm still open to talk about it. I still talk about it with women, but I didn't want it to be a daily thing that was brought up in my life because it was very painful. And to
Yeah.
be able to move through those things, I needed to heal. And that meant that I wasn't going to simply be coaching moms anymore, that I was going to open this up. And so I just had to touch on the whole transition thing because it means the world to me. And it was scary, but it was like a great excitement feeling at the same time. I was getting butterflies. And so I loved when we were talking before, and then you said that you were a mindset and manifestation mentor. I was like, who, girl? Yes, you are.
Yeah. And it's so funny because when me and you just connected, like before we even decided, okay, we're going to do the podcast or whatever, and we were just like, let's get on the call and talk, like
Yeah.
women, mom to mom. And I told you the same thing, that I had transitioned from only coaching moms and having this mom community to feeling really pulled to help other just women, not just moms.
Yeah.
And my brand was more than motherhood. So that was a really hard transition for me as well. Like, and I didn't want to feel like I was abandoning those moms, but like your coach told you, they're going to stay if they want to stay. You're still helping women, and moms are included in that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, I don't know if this happened to you, but like women that weren't moms were reaching out to me and feeling kind of weird or out of place. And they're like, am I allowed to work with you? Like, do you have an
Yes.
offering that fits me? And that like broke my heart because like I know I have this huge potential to like foster breakthroughs and ask the right questions and be a great hand holder and mentor. And for these women that would be awesome to work with me to feel excluded because
Mm-hmm.
they're not a mom, it's just like, whoa, like I can't do this anymore. I have to change something up and open myself up. And upon realizing, like, oh, light bulb moment, I'm a mindset and manifestation mentor, I sat down, and you know how, like, you're really encouraged to have this, like, one sentence that encapsulates, like, what you do and your
Yep.
brand and that. I did not have one for a long time. Like, if you looked on my Facebook profile, it said, like, I am your life coach, business coach, mentor, best friend, and guide. That's what I wrote in my bio.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to put myself in a box. And I finally figured out this is my sentence. This is my encapsulating sentence. I save newbie entrepreneurs from quitting in their first year of business by guiding them to aligned action so they can manifest their dream
Yes, I am
lives.
here for it.
It felt so good finally writing that down and just realizing, like, okay, that can include men, that can include moms, that can include single women, that can include transgender people. Like, it can include everyone because for so long, like even in high school, I was a cheerleader and I was an FFA officer and I was an FCA leader and I was student body vice president. I was all of these different things because I refuse for people to tell me you can only be one thing and you have to go into this box. And you said the same thing about only coaching moms. And a lot of moms feel that way. They feel like they're boxed into like this mom culture and mom life and mom this and mom that. But the truth is, we are really more than motherhood. We are humans and
Mm-hmm.
we are our own thing. And, we can dream too, and we can be more than one thing. You don't have to box yourself in. And that's been a huge, huge thing in my life that's been prevalent since middle school, high school, and now I'm carrying it into adulthood. Is just that I'm not going to be in a box. I am allowed to be multiple different things and wrap it all together, and that is me. That is my package and who I am.
So this is all just resonating with me so much, and I just love like everything that you have said. And I want to touch on it because like, when you were saying how we just like got on a call and we were talking, and I love that because even through this conversation, I'm getting to know you more, and I'm like, this
Yeah.
girl is my kind of girl.
So much to be BFF. Live like
Yeah. And I said to, I was talking to my mom and how you were talking about like how we both said like we didn't want to put people in this box. And when I felt like I wanted to transition, I said, originally I didn't want to put people in a box. And then I put people in a box. I put moms in a box. And I was like, it was a mind blowing moment where I was like, I didn't want moms to feel like they could only have one spot. And I created one spot. And so it was just very backwards to what I wanted. And so when I opened up my community, which is now Powerful and Uncensored Entrepreneurs, I wanted that to be a safe place where moms, single women, women who are, parenting alone, women who are stepmoms, because I'm a stepmom. I'm not just a mom. I'm a stepmom. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm an aunt. And I wear all these different hats. And I wanted these women to feel like they had a space to be all these different people, that they are encapsulated in one. And so I just wanted to mention that. And when I was a kid, I I didn't always click with everybody. I was the kid who loved to read books and pick out quotes, and I had a little quote board, and I'd be the kid who would stay inside in recess and help teachers clean and do things inside. And then I was the kid who, when I was in high school, I was a floater. I didn't stay with one group. I hung out with everybody, and I was in drama. I was in band. I was in a jazz band. I was in choir and vocal jazz and like in anything that I could possibly be in. And then wrestling. Like I remember someone said, they're like, you're in all the drama stuff and now you're wrestling? I said, well, yeah. And then volleyball. So I didn't put myself in a box. And so it was this big realization when I expanded my business where I decided, you shared like that line, that hook, that one that gets those women in the door, that one where they're like, yes, this is my woman. Where I created mine, where I specifically coach, powerful and ambitious online female entrepreneurs to create wealth and abundance in their business and bank account, because that was something I struggled with wholeheartedly. And I know that there's so many women, mothers, aunts, anything that struggle with creating wealth and abundance, and it looks different to each woman. So it didn't put people in a box, but women know that if they're going to work with me, we're going to work on your money mindset, and we are going to create wealth and abundance in all areas of your life, like your relationship, your marriage, your family life, your personal life, and it's going to amplify. And so that felt right. That felt right because it wasn't just one thing, but it takes time. Like that didn't happen until like 7, 8, 9 months after I was doing my business. It was like, hey, this
like
is
you
coming
told
later.
I just wasn't ready to hear it and receive it and step into that until it happened and it was presented to me. And I'm sure it was the same for you.
Yeah. And things happen. I believe that things happen in divine timing. You'll get these like divine downloads, or things will happen, or you're supposed to receive the message when you're supposed to. And as you were saying, like, I love that you coach newbie entrepreneurs to not quit in their first year, because it is such a common theme where women, like, I know that we're talking to a lot of women, but even male entrepreneurs, they quit in their first year because they're not seeing what they quote unquote thought success was going to look like in that first year. And even myself, there was many times in my time where I said, maybe I could stop. Like, maybe I had those thoughts, but I never stopped, and I never allowed those thoughts to stay there, because I have an end goal. Like, I have a vision, a big vision on what I ultimately want to do. And that could take 2 years, it could take 10 years, but I'm still very young. So if it takes me 10 years and then I'm 36 and I'm a millionaire, well, hell yes, I'm here for it. So like,
I think
I,
I think tenacity it's not just something you're born with. It can be learned and it can be practiced. And that's what I coach on is helping you with the grit. Like you have to be willing to be in the game 100%. If you're not in the game 100%, then we're not even working together because
yep.
you have that piece first. And I have learned that so much in just experience with talking to people and sales calls and conversations that where they might buy or whatever. Sorry, I got a notification. And they're it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
my son just left me. I have mom brain sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's okay. I understand you fully. Something I want to talk about in regards to, when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, there were so many people, and I mean people that I love dearly, that didn't believe in what I was doing, that they called it ridiculous, a joke, and how they managed to think it was a pyramid scheme, I don't know, but I was told that I was like, what? Like, who I still, like, it makes me laugh to this day, like thinking someone's like, well, is this a pyramid scheme? I'm like, creating my own business. What the like, no. And
You're
like
like
my father,
I'm making my little coaching minions that I'm paying
oh gosh,
$3
I was just
an
like,
hour.
what? I couldn't wrap my brain around that. And so then, but then, talking to my dad, I remember I must have just got him on the wrong day. And he's been so supportive now. But when I first started, he was like, well, this is ridiculous and this is a joke. And I remember saying to my stepmom, I don't know if I caught him on a wrong day, but like, I'm really passionate about this. And so, his words really hurt me and I want to talk to him, but I want to make sure it's the right day, because I don't know if maybe something happened and he was triggered. And she was like, no. And he apologized to me after and said, that wasn't my intention. I didn't mean to say those things. Like, I should have kept those like in my quiet brain and not in my out loud brain where I decided to tell you. And
Yeah.
then after he started watching my live videos, he started commenting and started reading my posts. And he just said, I've seen you transform. I've seen you transform from this woman who was worried about vocalizing her needs, her wants, her desires, this woman who struggled and felt judged by everybody, to a woman who doesn't care what somebody else thinks about her, to a woman who believes in other women and cares about them. And he said that transformation in itself, he's like, you couldn't pay me $1 million for me to not be grateful that my child went through that kind of transition. And that means the most to me. And at that time when my father was talking about that transition, I was making nothing. I was making nothing. And that to me meant more than the money that could have potentially been in my bank account, because people were seeing like an actual transition in the woman that I actually was. And that needed to happen before I started bringing in clients, before I started, creating this podcast and connecting with other women. I had to go through my own transformation, and I had to have tough conversations with family and friends, and really there was a lot of walls I had to break down that I built around myself. And I think so many people, when they start in entrepreneurship, they don't realize that there's a big mind, body, and soul work that happens, because you have to be so, so real and raw with yourself that sometimes you're like, oh, this is a lot. Like, and it
Yeah.
can be, but it also is worth it. I will never forget or regret any transformations or anything that I've done in the last like year and a bit. It's all been worth it. And I wish, I like, when I sit here, I wish so many people would look at themselves and say, I have come so far. I have done all these things, and celebrate that, even if they're not seeing, the money in the bank account just yet. There's so much that encapsulates having a business.
And
I could preach about this for days.
oh, that's how you level up and get more success and you grow in your business, is because you have to like slow down and take inventory of all the success that you've already created, where you're constantly going to be in that lack place of, oh, well, I'm not like her, or I haven't had 10K months yet, or I'm still not to that goal I want to have, or whatever. But if you actually just slow yourself down and
Yeah.
like, so many people have this like $100,000 goal or 500,000 or $1 million goal, but like, you have to make your first 1,000, you have to make your 10,000, you have to make like it. There's an order. Like you have to just take it step by step and not want to take the elevator. You have to take the stairs.
Yeah, and you need to anchor in those moments. I remember my first paying client, and I remember this because I squealed like a little schoolgirl because my PayPal went ding,
Yeah.
and I looked at it like,
You screenshotted it just like I did.
yeah, and I was like, what? Like, oh my God. My husband was supposed to come home and he was going to be home in like 10 minutes. I was like pacing the house. I was like, I am so excited to tell him this. And he gets home and he's like, did you just drink like an entire pot of coffee or something? Like, what's wrong? I'm like, look, it's like somebody trusted me enough to pay me and to trust me to go through this transformation with them. Like, this is huge. And
Yeah.
we went and celebrated. And it was like, I think my first paying client was like $250. And I was so excited. It was just like, it was for a program that I ran, and I was just over the freaking moon.
The thought that I remember thinking is like when I had my first paying client and my PayPal notification did that, I just remember thinking like, holy crap, I created this out of nothing.
Yes.
Like I don't have inventory. I don't have a store. I don't sell something physical. I created this like with my knowledge and my brain and my thoughts. Like I did this. That is the best feeling in the world. And like I think so many like new entrepreneurs want to quit because like we're in this immediate gratification world. So like if they start their business within 1 month, they haven't made over $1,000, they're like, I'm throwing in the towel. But like oh my goodness, it just takes so much commitment. And if you are not fully committed, you will be weeded out so fast.
Oh,
And,
yes.
I wanted to say, because you had that moment with your stepdad, and I had that moment with my husband. And it was like, he has always been super supportive and still is more than ever now. But we had this moment kind of like a few months in, and he was like, you're not making any money. Why are you even still doing this? Like, you are not even paying attention to the kids, and you're trying to work all day and make this happen, and you're not even seeing results. Why are you still doing it? And I'm like, because I have a why that's bigger than just my kids and you. I have a why that I want to make an impact on the world, not just my little family, not just my community, but I have to start here. Like I can be a great mother, but that's not all I want to be. I want to be a great spouse, but that's not all I want to be. I want to be omnipresent and like known. I want to be known as someone that can use the hard things and the stories that we've been through to motivate and inspire other people that are going through the same stories. And so that's kind of the inspiration of why I want to help new entrepreneurs, is because that's the tough part, is getting the first sale, getting the first client. And then once you get over that hump, it's a lot more of smooth selling. So
yes. And,
yeah.
I had a tough conversation with my husband too. And I chatted about this on the podcast, but he did the same thing when he said, like, when are you going to start making money? When are we going to start seeing an income? And I just looked at him and I said, I need you to trust me. I said, like, I would not be doing this to harm our family. I said, I'm doing this because I love our family, but I'm also doing this, like you said, my why is not my family. It is not. And I believe wholeheartedly, like if your mom and your why is simply your kids, you will stop.
That's
It
so
is something
great. I said the same thing.
like I think I might have heard you maybe say it, but somebody else said it and it's been
Yep.
coming up like in my life.
Yeah.
And I I believe that to be true because before when I used to say like, oh, I'm doing this for my kids or this is why I'm starting, I stopped every damn time because if my child was sick or something happened to my child or I just wasn't feeling it that day and I
Or
just
like,
wanted to
why am I
cuddle
even
and I used them as an excuse as to why I couldn't do it. And that was not, I don't want my children to just make excuses. I want them to learn that they can go after and they have limitless potential of what they actually can create in their life and that nobody can stop them and nobody it should be their reason to why. They should have a why inside them that is so passionate that fires them up every single day and gets them like, yes, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And
yeah.
so, yeah.
Another big thing that I talk about is, you know, when you are trying to like visualize and set an intention and manifest something like in your business or personal growth, or you want to manifest X amount of dollars or whatever, I tell my clients not to visualize like, oh, well, in 2 years, my husband will be making 200,000. So then we'll be able to get that house on the beach or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you have to eliminate your partner from being a crutch and
Yep.
have to walk beside you because you're never going to get anywhere in your own business and your own aspirations if you're over here thinking, okay, well, we'll be fine because he'll make X amount of dollars. Like, you have to think of it as, I'm going to help buy that house. I'm going to help get us there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've said to my husband, I said like we've sat down and we've written down like our dreams and our aspirations and what we ultimately like really want out of our life. And I told my husband, I said, I want you to go big and then I want you to go bigger than that because I want you to really like believe that this is possible for you. And I want to know what your goals are because within my business, like we're a team. So when I'm going after my goals, I also bring yours because that brings me joy. It brings me joy to know that we could accomplish these things, but I could also potentially, get that for you. And you could be just like so lit up about it, which is still not my why, but I want to know his goals and I want to know what he truly wants in life because we're ultimately a team together. And so like I communicate with him, but there's still decisions that I make and I don't talk to my husband about them because it's my business. And
Yeah.
he doesn't talk to me about what he does at work. Like the stuff that he has to do or what he has to figure out that I don't understand. But if I have like a big financial obligation that I want to, invest in, that's when I talk to him. But I don't say, hey, do you think I could do this? I say, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Like,
And
this is
yeah, I'm going to do this. I want you to know because we're a team together and I want us to like make sure that this can all happen together, but I'm telling you I'm doing it.
yeah.
And that has changed our relationship drastically because I wasn't waiting for his approval. He was like, "Oh, she wants this. Oh, we're doing this. Okay. Okay."
Yeah, I think so many women, especially that are in a partnership or marriage or whatever, they have that crutch, like they rely on permission. And
Mhm.
it's not they're not your coach or your boss, like they're a team player and you're a team player too, and you don't have to ask each other permission. You
Nope.
relay the message, right? Like if there's players on a basketball team, they're telling each other what play they're making next on the basketball court. And that's what you
Yeah.
do in a partnership or a marriage. You just say, okay, we're making this move. Okay, we're making this move. And you just kind of guide each other.
Well, and I think, with everything that we're talking about, when it all comes together and it's like encapsulated into this, like what we've been talking about is really these transitions and these decisions that you make, and you ultimately have a choice. You get to choose every single day what that looks like for you. Nobody else does. Like you cannot put your future in somebody else's hands. Your future is your own and you create it. Nobody else. You can't blame anybody for the future that you haven't created. Like you can't. If you're not creating it, and you're wondering why something's not happening, you need to take a long, hard look and ask yourself why, because it's nobody else's decision but yours. And that was a huge thing as an entrepreneur that I had to learn that it was not everybody else or XYZ. It was me. It was
Yeah.
either me holding myself back, me not doing something, or me just, reverting back to like limiting beliefs in myself. And I had to really take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, like, okay, if you want this, we're going to do it. And we're either going to do the damn thing or we're not going to do it either. And there's that where you burn the bridge, and you have to like burn the bridge to and like sink, no, burn the boat or something. Now I can't even remember
I'm
it. See,
bad.
now I'm having mom brain.
Dude, I can't help it.
I'll have to put it in the show notes after so everybody understands. But there's something about burning a boat.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I just kind of wanted to bring everything together because this conversation, I feel like me and you could talk for hours and hours and hours about this, and I love that. And I know that there's going to be women who are going to resonate with like different parts of this message. And, if you guys are really feeling called to connect with Sara, I highly recommend you connect with her. But before we end this, Sara, I want you to let everybody know your socials. And yes, everyone, it'll be in the show notes. So if you don't write it down, it's there for you.
Yeah, I am Sara Smith, and my like handle is at Mom Life Coach Sara, and there's no H on Sara. So I'm not Sarah, I'm Sara. And
I love that.
on Facebook and Instagram. I have a Facebook page, and there's reviews there for you to check out. And also, I have a program that is called Business Transition Magic. And it's a 3-month one-on-one thing. And there's a money back guarantee. And it's to get you transitioned into your new business venture and get it making money with a money back guarantee. So that's what I'm all about right now. And I just figured I'd throw that in there since we've been talking about that the whole time.
Yeah, no, and we should, and I'll add that into the show notes. So like if you have a link or anything that people can go to, just send that to me and it'll all be in the show notes, you guys, so that you can connect with Sara and ask her more questions and just dive in with her. But I want to say thank you again for being on the podcast, and no problem in having this conversation.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you need to ask your listeners what they want to hear us talk about more specifically, because I know we had talked about doing like a co-live too on Facebook.
Yes.
So within this, all the topics we just covered on the podcast, you should ask them what they want to hear about more specifically, and we can do a Facebook Live together about it.
I would love to. That's actually a part of my notes, which is so funny. So two minds think alike, where I literally I've been talking with a few women about connecting and doing like live videos. And so you were also one of the women that are written on that list. So, but I wanted to poll my community and poll, those who listen to the podcast, but also on my Facebook page to see like what they would be intrigued to listen to. So I love that you brought that up because that is coming. So if you guys are listening to this, make sure you go and comment in the community, which is Powerful and Uncensored Entrepreneurs, or write a review and say, hey, this is what I want to listen to, or send me a message and we'll go from there. But thank you again. And then everybody, I will see you guys all in the next episode. Bye, guys.